Hey, it's a new week. That's right, a new week, and we have a new topic. We're talking about I'm stuck. Let me say that again. I'm stuck. It happens to every single one of us all the time. It's part of life. It's part of being a business owner. It's part of being a leader. We're going to talk about being stuck, and today we're going to talk about being stuck in chaos. Oh boy, should be a good discussion. I know I've been there. Chaos sometimes reigns. We're going to talk about how to make the rain go away and other things. All that and more on episode 859 of today's Antidote.
Stay tuned for today's Antidote, brought to you by the Renegade Success Network. Today's Antidote features a healthy dose of thought-provoking insights and information for business owners, entrepreneurs, leaders, and nonprofit professionals. Each day since March of 2020, this program has offered that one thing to help you continue on your own unique pathway to success. And now, Renegades, we bring you Bob Graham and Tom Brush.
Hey, Tom. Happy Monday.
Happy Monday to you, and happy Juneteenth Day.
Ah, yes. I'm not sure it's a happy day, right? It's a sort of.
It is.
Yeah, I guess it is. Yeah, you're right. I'm sorry. I was lost. I was lost because I was busy trying to do the logistics, and they didn't go the way they were supposed to today. So I'm not multitasking well.
A little bit of chaos.
Yeah, a little bit of chaos. I got distracted because I saw you gave me like a nod of approval on the intro, and that's rare. So I got all distracted.
Well, it's rare that I give you words of affirmation.
You usually don't react. So the fact that you did caught me.
I like the rain.
Okay. Thank you.
Small things sometimes. They're things that just...
Hey, I'll take it. It's a Monday.
Hey,
Tom, I got a logistics question for you while I'm sitting here.
Sure.
Normally, I see this on your Facebook feed, and I don't see it today.
It says it's on it.
Okay. I've refreshed it several times, and that was part of the logistical issues I was having.
Oh, wait a minute. Maybe I had...
Sorry, folks. This is the little behind-the-scenes Monday morning.
All right. Check it now.
Check it now?
Hold on a second. Check it now.
There you go. Thank you very much. That makes my job easy.
There. Oh, good. Well, that's what it's all about. How do we make Bob's job easy?
All right, I thought the hokey pokey was what it was all about.
Yeah, but I don't have roller skates.
Okay. So we should get rolling because this is a great topic, and I don't want to, I think this is one that people will react to because I know I certainly have been stuck in chaos sometimes while we're doing the program even.
All right, everyone, good morning and welcome to today's Antidote, our daily broadcast and podcast. Each week, Bob and I choose a topic, or our listeners can choose a topic like we did last week. So if you have one, please feel free to share it. And we have a conversation. Not long.
We have a long conversation. A Freudian slip.
We have a conversation around that topic. And each weekday, we dive a little bit deeper into it. And so as we go through that conversation today about saying I'm stuck and being in chaos, please feel free to share any thoughts or ideas that you have that you think might be of value and help the conversation along, because we know it will add value to the show. And at the conclusion of that conversation, Bob and I will each offer our one thing, our today's antidote, that thing that will help, we think will help if you are stuck and uncertain about what to do next so that you can move forward, take your next step, and achieve the goals and desires that you have. And of course, if you have a one thing, please feel free to share it as well, because we know that when you share your value, it has an opportunity to have an impact on others. Sometimes we hear a lot of things people tell us a lot of things that we don't always hear. And yet this might be the one time that you actually hear it and are allowed to leverage it to move forward. So please feel free to share your thoughts and ideas. Prior to diving into that conversation, though, each morning, Bob and I share our celebrations. So, Bob, what are you celebrating today?
It's been a while, Tom. I know you like a good customer service story as much as I do, so I'll bring you one of those today. I had the privilege of going to an urgent care facility up in Bel Air, Maryland yesterday. I cut my finger on a knife, and I'm okay. A little worse for wear, but I'll be okay. And I went into the urgent care facility run by University of Maryland around, it was, I guess, 12:15, 12:30. And the staff there was definitely happy that there was no one in there. I was the only person that came in. And they said that they were going to spend the day dealing with lacerations and burns from people grilling and fighting. So
Fighting knives or fighting like you did?
You know what? Fist fights, it sounded like.
Okay.
So the folks there were really great. I was bleeding. I take blood thinners, so there's a little bit of blood, and they were very polite. They were very great. They got me in very quickly, and the physician's assistant that took care of me was just really funny and upbeat as he was doing things that were quite painful for about 10 minutes. So the ability to keep a person distracted while you're doing medical things to them is really an art. And Drew, you did a great job. You definitely made what was a fun experience a lot more fun. And so those were people. There were 3 people working that day. They were all working on Father's Day. They all had families. I asked them, and they were all hoping to get done work at 8 p.m. and get to go see family. And that you would have never known that they were not fully engaged in their job. They were completely into it, which is great, because you deal with people in a urgent care facility. You deal with people in various states of frustration, fear, chaos, confusion, and they definitely had it put together. And I was thinking how difficult that job can be when someone comes in with a child who's got an injury and the parent's really frantic because their child's hurt. And how these people, the other thing is they sit there and wait for the people to come in. They have no control over what's going to happen next. You could have a very serious thing come in, or you could have 10 in a row.
Yes. So, and it could be a child or an adult child.
What's that?
It could be a child or an adult child that they have to deal with.
Could be an adult child. I was not an adult child. I kept it together. It was a little painful. I wanted to cry and scream several times, but I kept it largely to myself.
Okay.
Largely, not completely.
Fair enough. Don't judge.
Thank you, folks, for that. And I'm okay. I still have 10 fingers. I'm still able to type as quickly as I could.
Okay.
The guitar practice probably not going to happen today or tomorrow.
Maybe you can start to play left-handed.
You do realize it requires 2 hands to play guitar, at least the way I play.
Yeah, on one hand, you could use a pick and strum it, correct?
It would hurt to do that. I actually looked at that.
Okay. All right. Fair enough.
So, how about you? What do you celebrate today?
Well, I'm celebrating that. As I maybe shared last week, I was working at a lacrosse tournament most of the weekend, and I came home
leading the officials, scheduling them, arranging them. Women's and girls lacrosse over the weekend. Yep.
Yes. I didn't think it was that vital to the story, which is why I didn't go too in depth into it. And when I got home, my wife and daughters and the boyfriend of my daughter had fixed a nice meal, had ice cream cake, which I like, and some presents. So it was nice. And I came home, helped, cooked on the grill, took a little nap, and then we had dinner. So it was a lovely.
What was the best present you got?
I liked them all. They are all different and unique, and yet I was able to wear my new shirt.
Oh, I like it. Very nice.
I wasn't judging which one was best or not best.
Were you surprised by them, or were they things that you would have expected to get?
Kind of expected, except for one. One was kind of a surprise.
What was that one?
So my daughter went to school at Skidmore College in Saratoga Springs, New York, and they have a like an olive oil store, along the
Ooh.
main street. So they have all different kinds of olive oil.
I'm a big fan of this olive oil thing. I'm with you.
All right. So she got me because when I put dressing on, it's usually oil and vinegar. And so they worked with the store. She worked with the store owner to get a thing of vinegar and a thing of olive oil. It's like, it has a taste of like peppercorn, which I do like. And I guess the person said you can either mix them together or you can just pour them on separately, and you have voila, oil and vinegar dressing.
Oh, you're making my mouth water. That sounds really good.
Yeah. So that was unique.
That's really cool. That's
Yeah.
really cool.
I agree.
Nice.
I agree. I appreciate it. So thank you to my family for creating a nice late afternoon and evening for me.
And happy Father's Day one more time to all the fathers and the fathers that fulfill a fatherly role, even if they aren't fathers. There are some of those out there, I hear.
Sure. Absolutely. There are.
All
right.
Let's
Shall we
get the
dive in?
topic, shall we?
Why not? Go ahead.
All right. So, stuck in chaos. I would posit that about 85 to 95% of the time, I feel like I'm stuck in chaos. And chaos to me is when I don't feel like I have control over my calendar. It's either too busy, or the other side, which we've talked about various times over the years, when my calendar is too empty. It feels chaotic because like, oh, what am I going to do all day? I don't have anything to do. I also feel chaos sometimes when I have to deal with the financial aspects of my business. That can cause me a little chaos. There can be chaos. A couple of weeks ago, I managed to have two people that scheduled on my online scheduling system at exactly the same time. So I got two confirmations that they were both at the same time because the system doesn't know how to deal with that. And so that's a little chaotic. And I think as a leader in my career as a leader, there have been many, many times when there was chaos. The staff meeting you had where you thought you knew what the topic was and someone came in and just hand grenaded that and started over with a different topic. The boss coming in and one time saying, hey, by the way, we're going to let go of this person because we just don't have money for this person. And it was a person who was a model employee. You know, these are the things of chaos. And they tend to, if you don't deal with them, they tend to make you stuck. Or often they make you stuck for a moment or many moments just as you assess the situation. So the chaos, I think the chaos comes to me almost every time any of these things come up. Like yesterday when I cut my finger, things were a little chaotic. Family was coming to get together and I didn't want to be a burden. I was bleeding a little bit and trying to be cared for, trying not to have to go to a care facility and all that. So there was chaos, and I found myself in that chaos having a choice. I could step into the chaos and go, okay, oh, this is mess up, or I could try to be calm. And I kind of, my approach was to minimize the situation, which I guess is another way to deal with chaos. It could have been a potentially serious situation. I was like, oh, it's not a big deal. I'll take care of it. And then I went and tried to take care of it and then came back and sheepishly said, okay, I think this is this is out of my skill set, which I think is one of those things that we can do that often I don't choose to do. Like I don't go to you and ask for advice or to talk me through situations. Most of the time you say, oh, wait a second. Did I hear you say that? Or, oh. And I think that's one of the things when we're in the chaos, we can't see it for what it is. It often just like, oh, why is this happening to me? Geez, it's a beautiful Sunday. I've cut my finger. This is not supposed to happen to me. Why is it me? Why is this happening? This is so horrible that you don't have the ability to actually see the situation, which was, okay, I cut my finger. It's not going to come off. It's going to bleed because I take blood thinners. Okay, I've had bleeding before. I know what to do. If I do what I normally do and it doesn't work, then I need to go to a care facility. It was really a straightforward situation at its core. But in that moment of chaos, I wasn't thinking about that. I was stuck in the emotion of it. This is so embarrassing. I'm with someone who hasn't been through this before, and she's going to see this, and it's like, oh, what if I get blood all over her kitchen floor? And they're coming over to eat, and this is just. Then her mother's going to show up, and she's going to be like, oh, what's going on? Oh, Bob's bleeding out on the floor. All that was running through my head instead of the logical, okay, here are the steps we take. We've been through this 100 times. This is routine. And so I think that's the chaos part. And we get stuck because we can't see through the emotion. I see Michael's got a comment for us. Michael says, chaos can cloud your thinking and decision-making abilities, but I've discovered patience, perseverance, and adaptability. Easier said than done. So true, Michael. So true.
Well, go ahead.
Go ahead. No, please. I jump in.
Well, I think that it's the judgment, I think, that is around it that is what's so challenging, right? Is you were starting to worry about how it was going to impact others. So you were starting
and their perception of me.
Sure.
Really, yes. Impact others, but reflecting on me.
Yeah. I had that situation Friday night. So there was assigning officials at this tournament, and it was a short night. Some fields only had one game on them. And so it was kind of hard to balance the number of officials to bring in to make it worth their time and effort and energy.
Sure.
And so we had an official somehow get a concussion. I think they got stepped on, fell, and hit their head. And it was at the end of the day where everyone was pretty much assigned, even me at that time. And so this was the game before. And so now we're trying to figure out, all right, how do we scramble to make this situation work? And we had somebody who didn't show up. And so now you're in that double whammy of we were in good shape. Then we had something happen and someone didn't show up. So that took one of the advantages away. And then we just ended up even in a different place. And I think that, again, part of the chaos could have been worrying about how everybody else was going to think. There was the two teams that I ended up doing a game alone. What were they going to think? There was another game where, because the official got hurt, the other official had to do their last game alone. Same thing. What are the two teams going to think? What are the tournament organizers going to think if we have games with only one official on them? So all of those things go, and we start to worry about what that looks like. And I think that those fears of how we're going to be judged or how we'll judge ourselves are the way that cause the confusion. It starts us to get worried about things that we don't necessarily need to worry about. Here's this, in this situation, this was the first tournament that I had run for this new company that we were doing events for. And, you want to have an impression. And so you sometimes get worried about, oh, geez, and rather than addressing the issue at hand. And, because I hadn't worked at all, I had fresh legs, and one game is not going to, I can do alone. The skill, they weren't so fast, and the skill level wasn't so high that I wasn't able to sort of keep pace. The field was also a little bit smaller, which was helpful. And so you just figure it out, or you try to find a way, I guess. And the challenges is not letting the chaos sort of sneak in and seem like it's so overwhelming. What am we going to do? It's never going to work out. It's just going to be a mess. And again, then, as you said, how's that reflection going to come back on me? And I think when you can go through all of that noise, if you can clear that noise out of your head, you can actually find the solutions that will allow things to get done differently, and yet they'll still be able to get done.
Well, yesterday I couldn't clear out, as you put it so eloquently, I could not clear out the noise. There was too much noise to get to the key message, which was, okay, you've been through this. This is what you do. If it embarrasses you, get over it. You need to deal with this situation. And it took someone else to say to me, hey, almost snap out of it, but really the other person took charge. And I think that's what often happens. With a lot of my clients, I've seen it where it's just they get so mired in it that they can't see out of it. And you start to ask them, it's like, well, is this really the worst meeting you've ever run? Oh, yeah, by far. Absolutely. And then you're like, really? That's really the worst? Doesn't sound so bad to me. Are you sure? Well, there's this one meeting 3 years ago. Oh, well, how did you get out of that? Well, I was all worried about this thing and then resolved. And you start to realize that what we think in the moment is so incredibly powerful loses its power when someone starts asking us a series of questions that can really get us to go, oh, okay, you know what? I've done this. When I started to realize yesterday, as I was going to the care facility, it's like, this is the same as when I cut my leg. This is the same as yesterday when I cut myself shaving. This is not unusual for me. But because of the external factors, I made it different. And I think that's the thing that we often do. You've scheduled officials a million times. You've been on the field when someone's gotten hurt probably 10, 20 times. You've had an official who, for whatever reason, can't continue. Once you go back and do the muscle memory of, okay, here are the steps I take, it comes into focus. But I don't think I'm not able to do that very well myself. I just can't. I need you, frankly, often you do it by just asking me a question. The question in the moment that's like, really? Was that really the worst dinner you've ever had? Is that really the worst situation? Really? Really, Bob? Come on. Maybe you're exaggerating it. I'm like, yeah, maybe I am, Tom. And that leads to a discussion of taking the emotion out of it. But I don't think we as humans are very good at letting the emotion go, especially when it matters to us, right? The reason it was so emotionally driven for me yesterday was it's a relatively new relationship. I know the family a bit, but I'm not at the point where I can just bleed out on the kitchen floor and they go, oh, it's Bob bleeding out on the kitchen floor again. This happens all the time.
Well, and now what you're starting to do is thinking that all they're going to do is judge you rather than have empathy for the fact that this is what happened and come to your assistance.
Which is what they would do. But in my emotional state, I can't see that. That's the other thing that, when you're in a meeting and the person says something that throws the meeting off track, if you probably took a deep breath and stepped back for a second and said, okay, what's going on here? Someone probably would jump in and say, okay, you know what? I'm sorry, I'm looking at the agenda. This isn't on today's agenda. Can we go through today's agenda? And that's a separate meeting. Let's schedule that meeting. Bob, do you want to schedule that meeting for later for us? Oh, yeah, that's a great idea, 2:00. We usually don't take that. We don't allow for that space for someone else to help us get out of it. I was listening to someone the other day and they got lost in the woods and they were following what they thought was the North Star. It was dark and foggy and it turned out it was actually a radio tower. So the more they walked, they were going towards the radio tower thinking it was the North Star. It was actually pointed south. And so by 11:30 at night, they're more lost than when they started. But they thought they were going the right way because they counseled each other. But when someone came to their aid and said, hey, you guys, someone came from the radio tower, heard them and found them. They were unlost when someone jumped in and said, hey, no, that's not the North Star. That's a radio tower.
Right.
And we all do that, right?
Sure. Well, here's Michael, I think, as an interesting comment that I think is relevant to what we're talking about is that treading on territory with zero experience can create chaos in just trying to understand your own options or, as you say, noise. Yes, I think that's one of the challenges when we run into situations that are new. And I think, unfortunately, what we think is that all of those situations are new. Rather than saying, oh, I've been through things like this. This is how I handled it then. This is a way for me to handle it now. And I think that's one of the benefits of finding someone else who can be like, okay, Bob, settle down. You know these people, they're compassionate. They are going to feel for you, not judge you. And so
what did you do last time this incident came up?
Correct. Or
because clearly you lived.
Yes.
So this doesn't look that bad.
Yeah, I think it's an interesting. It's whatever your system is. And it's really about creating a system. Have you seen the movie For the Love of the Game
Yes.
by Kevin Costner?
Yes.
So for those who haven't, you should. It's a fun movie to watch if you like Kevin Costner, if you like sports. And he's a pitcher on a team, and he's been pitching for a long time. And as you can imagine, and as it goes, he's kind of pitching through a game at Yankee Stadium. So there's lots of noise, there's lots of distractions, there's lots of chaos. And he has a way when that happens, he's created a system by which he can now get rid of the noise and focus on the task at hand. And I think that that's it. And I'm sure it took him years. And probably in the beginning of his career in this movie, he was unable to do that. And I think it's the same with us, is that as we're newer and newer in our professional lives, or even in our personal lives, that we don't have, where we haven't figured out the way that we want to solve some of those challenges. For him, he had a process. For others, that's when I go talk to my coach or my mentor, or whoever, that helps me see that this is not that different from a situation that I was in before. And here's how I can leverage my knowledge, experience, and perspective from that before previous action, so that I can leverage that in this time. So, Bob, do you have your one thing?
I think I have my one thing, and that would be, when we're talking about being stuck in chaos, that it's normal. I think one of the things that I had to really come to terms with yesterday, as I think back on it, was, okay, incidents happen. People cut their fingers in kitchens. That's not unusual. Everyone's probably done it. And once I started to think about that, as I think about that today, it's like, I bet they're like, yeah, Bob cut himself, big deal. Happens. Kind of weird circumstances, but okay, it happens. And when I went to the care facility, they didn't go, that's the craziest thing I've ever heard. They were like, oh, okay. The knife was up in the dishwasher, pointed up. Yeah, that would do it. So I think we tend to make things unique and make them worse than they are in our heads. And then that, coupled with the emotion, really makes us powerless to find solutions.
I like that. And
Good.
I think
How about you?
Mine is similar. And I want to go back to Michael's quote, where he says, trending on territory with zero experience. And I think that's one of the challenges, and that's why we come into chaos, is we don't consider our experience. We look at a situation, and yes, the situation is unique. And yet we all have knowledge, experience, and perspective that could be invaluable in addressing the situation, addressing the chaos that is going on. And I think that thought that, well, I've never been through anything like this, that helps create the chaos. Now I don't know what to do. And I think that if we have the opportunity, or we find someone who can help us stop and say, okay, well, what knowledge, experience, and perspective do you have? And how can we use that, because that's all you've got, to figure out how to deal with this thing that has caused so much chaos, and that you think you have zero experience in, that you actually, likely, if you went through the process, would understand that you actually know more about it than you think, or at least know more about how you might try to solve the challenge. And I think
Michael has one thing with us this morning. His one thing is trying to find inner peace, and he puts peace in quotes, amidst all the disorder in quotes. And I like that. Because when we get away from the emotion, when we get away from the turmoil and really find the peace, that's when the solutions come. But I will tell you, I struggle to do that by myself.
And I think it goes, to me, it's a lot about stop judging.
Mm-hmm.
If you can stop the judgment, I think you can find that takes some of the emotion out. You can start to find that peace that he's talking about, and the opportunity to try to find a way based on what you already know,
Mm-hmm.
or have experienced, or are aware of. So
if you are someone struggling with this, Tom or I would love to talk to you about it. This is so common. This is one of the things we help almost everyone that we work with through our Renegade Success Network and our Sculpt the program, which you'll hear more about from our great announcer. It can be really a powerful tool to build up the muscle so you better understand how to address these things. I know the more I've worked with Tom, just helping me, the more I can see these things sooner and more clearly. And it enables me to be more successful in dealing with them in real time, or to recognize it quicker, and figuring it out in 3 hours instead of 3 days can make a difference. So if that's something you're interested in, I will put in the chat the link to the Renegade Success Network. It is renegadesuccessnetwork.com if you're on the podcast. And we'd love to talk to you about what that might look like.
Yes, indeed. Because I think when you can start to eliminate some of the chaos, you can find clarity. And in that clarity, you'll find the next steps to take to help to get to where you want to go. So thanks for being with us today. Michael, thanks to you for your comments and your one thing. We appreciate that. We hope that if you are enjoying the holiday, that you find time to enjoy it and remember a little bit about what it's about. Always good that when we're in the holiday, not just enjoying our time, and we're also thinking about why do we have these holidays and what came before. So enjoy the rest of your day. Thanks for being a part of our show. If you're listening to the podcast and you would like to share your thoughts and ideas, or you're watching this a little bit later today and you can't share them while we're live, please feel free to put them in the comments, or join us in our Facebook group, Sculpt Your Business, from chaos and confusion to clarity and control. We'd like to help you find that so that you can continue to grow and achieve what it is you desire. So we look forward to seeing you in that group. If not, we will see you tomorrow morning, 7 a.m. Eastern time, for our next episode of Today's Antidote.
Hey, whatever you do, people, on this beautiful Monday, go out and embrace the renegading you. It is so, so worth it.
Yes, indeed. All right. Everyone go out and enjoy your day. We will see you soon.
Hey, it's the Sculpt Your Business program. That's right. You can go from chaos and confusion to confidence and control. Try saying that 5 times fast. But if you join our program, you'll be able to say it not just 5 times fast, but you'll be able to actually experience it. That's right. Imagine going from chaos and confusion to confidence and control. Confidence and control. Imagine getting up in the morning and having systems and processes in place so you can effectively and more easily handle your day and whatever confronts you. All that's possible. Go to renegadesuccessnetwork.com to learn more, or you can ask Tom or Bob. Hope to see you there soon.